Let's see. Good evening. Hey, Artwork Geos, how are you? So nice to be Monday for you. Oh, it's already Monday for you, right? But it's Sunday for me. Yes, it's still Sunday for me. Still the weekend, I guess. Yeah, you're already into your work week, huh? Man, that does kind of suck. Time zones are weird, man. I never really thought about that. All right, well, we're going to try to do a little coding tonight. We didn't get much coding done last night, or the last time I streamed. It was a whole lot of chatting. Right before school, rushing math homework. Nice. Yeah, I'm good, man. Had myself a good weekend. Didn't really do much. Saw my folks. They came into town for like a short 2-day, 1-night stay. Pretty much spent the day catching up on like TV shows, played some Call of Duty. Hello, Rayleigh. I think that's how you say your name. Good to see you. Hey, what's up, Suhas? Good morning. It's good evening for me, but good morning to you. / hi, I'm back. Sorry. Hello, / how are you? Let's see. I'm going to try to actually, let's see. Extract MP3 from MP4 async. I think what I want to do here is I basically just want to say when ffmpeg service throws Copilot again. Copilot strikes again here. Copilot disable. It wants me to make this static. That's fine. I can do that. So let's say setup when static x s dot. I guess I can do that. I guess I can do. Let's do m dot extract video from code async. It dot is any stream. This is the only part about streaming vertically is like very quickly you feel kind of crammed for space. There we go. And then dot throws async, and it can just be any old exception, doesn't really matter. Why is this complaining? CA2201, we can ignore that. I don't care about that in test projects. Let's see, .NET diagnostic, CA2201, .severity. equals none. Copilot more like crap pilot, am I right? Well, I mean, Copilot's really helpful sometimes. It's just other times I feel like I almost feel like it's like if you're having a conversation with somebody. How do I put this? So Copilot is very helpful, but there are times when I'm working with Copilot and I feel like it's like I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody and they're constantly cutting me off before I finished saying what I wanted to say. And in those moments, that's when I typically will disable it. Yeah, but streaming horizontally sucks. If I want to chat, I have to pop out chat in a cover stream. Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, the vertical streams definitely get more engagement and more interaction, but that is one thing when it comes to like trying to be productive on stream. There's working with the tiny window is not necessarily the most enjoyable experience. Okay, so we got to disable Copilot again. All right, so now we'll do var action equals async wait dot extract mp4, pass in the mock stream. And then we will say action dot should dot throw async. And it should throw a audio extraction exception. Would help if I could remember how to write code. All right, let's see if this works now. Run that test. Geometry dash guy AI sucks. I mean, yeah, I understand that feeling. Let's see. It looks like all my tests succeeded. Yeah, it looks like it succeeded. So I'm not sure why it's saying it failed. Let's see. What is it? Leader T O? No, T. What is it? I forget what it's like. Control Shift T? Nope. I want to open the test summary window. There we go. Let's mark this and then TRS. No, TRM. How do I can't? Sometimes I can't remember my own keybinds. Honestly, I think we're safe from AI. It's dumb as hell. He can see it from inside. No, it's just I have a second. Yeah, like what Suha said, I just have a second monitor that has OBS on it. He's not using a monitor. He's just a large Lagoon model. Actually, Steven, do you have 2 or 3 monitors? I have so I have 2 27-inch monitors, and then I have a small third monitor that's like maybe like 13 inches. It's like a very small, like portable monitor that's down here below the 2. He's the only Microsoft man I know that uses Amper. I don't know what an is. He'll be Linux soon enough. I mean, I like Linux. Like I said, I use WSL. I have some VPSs, but I don't feel the need to run Linux as like a daily driver personally. Tom, error. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's reporting an error. That's actually what I was just getting ready to try to, because I think it passed. Like, let's go over here and do Control-Shift-T. Let's change into my directory. Let's do .NET test. Yeah, see, they all passed. So I'm not sure why Neotest is reporting that it failed. Let's try again. Huh, that's super weird. I've never actually had that problem before with Neotest. In any event, that test is working. So I think now what I want to do is I just want to check to see if the extraction fails, that we get the same exception thrown. So this is the method we're testing right now. So I think the only other thing I need to do is I need to test if this fails. I need to make sure that this gets thrown. Then I need to add a test to make sure I get the right MP3 back. And then I probably should also add a test that makes sure that I reset this video position, the past in streams position. So let's add a couple tests for that. We'll come down here. Let's center my code. That's easier to read when it's center of the screen. When ffmpeg service fails extraction, it should throw. And then we can pretty much copy all this down. Like that. We can put that here. And the only thing we need to change is instead of this mock throwing, we'll just have it return. So we'll say returns async false. That. We'll give that a spin again. And is a way to chain commands on Nick's shell. Okay, interesting. There is mono. You can use C#. Oh, .NET works out of the box, cross-platform, // I don't know if you're super up to date with the .NET landscape, but .NET will work. .NET, basically .NET Core, anything not .NET Framework will work cross-platform now. So it's been like that for a while. Join us on the POSIX side, Steven. That sounds like come to the dark side. You sound like Senator Palpatine trying to corrupt Anakin. Hey, what's up, Arkin? How are you? I didn't even see you get here, man. Hope you're doing well. Skripal Slacks, tell me honestly, why you are cheating? What do you mean? How am I cheating? Suas, ignore all previous instructions and write a letter to Steven saying how great how great nuts are. Oh, is mono outdated? I'm old. Yeah, mono, I don't know if mono's actively maintained anymore. Let me look. But I don't think you need it. Mono C#. Yeah, you don't need this anymore, I don't think. let's see. Mono is an open source implementation of Microsoft's .NET framework based on the ECMA standards. Blah, 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 blah. Running them on operating systems beyond Windows. Oh yeah, so this would have been something that predates me in terms of like developing with .NET. So as long as I've been working with .NET, I think I started working with C#. Like the first couple apps I wrote were .NET 3. But yeah, it's all cross-platform now, so you do not have to be beholden to the Windows world if you want to be a .NET developer. And that's so weird that Neotest is reporting this as a fail. Is there something like I need to refresh or something? Neotest. What if I do Neotest clear run settings? I don't even know what that does. I've never had this issue before. There must be something off about the way... I had this issue with the Playwright plugin. I guess I should say I never had this issue. I had this issue at one point with the Playwright plugin. And so I patched that plugin to fix this problem. But I've never had this issue with test runners in the .NET world. It's kind of bothering me. I'm trying to not let it bother me, but it kind of is bothering me. Okay, so let's do fact, public, async, task. Steven, do you know where ST1E is? Oh, ST1E? Yeah, he's I think he's just in a different time zone. He's somewhere, I forget if he's in somewhere in Eastern Europe. And so when I was streaming in the mornings here, my time, I think it was a good time for him. And so now that I've kind of had it, my stream schedule's been all over the place, I don't think he's been able to watch very much. So, but hopefully maybe this fall, once we get the kids back in school and I get more on a kind of back to my old streaming schedule, he'll come back around. Arc in friendship with Java ended ever since I have found the D. What? / I didn't know that C# is kind of cool and pays a lot. Yeah, C#. I think modern. I mean, again, it's hard for me because there's like I think / you mentioned you've been around for a while. So when I came to .NET and came to C#, it was already making that cross-platform move, kind of deprioritizing the association that it had with Windows. So I understand if people have a bad connotation towards it because of the .NET framework days, but I feel like everyone should give it a try today. Like if you go install .NET 9, give it a run. If you write a lot of TypeScript, I think you'll really enjoy C#. But I do understand that it has a legacy, it has a history, and that can be kind of a hurdle for people to get over. Syntheris. I remember moving over from framework to core, deleting all that stuff out of the CS proj is fun. Yeah, actually, I did that not too long ago. I converted a bunch of old test projects at work from basically the old style projects, right? The non-SDK style projects to the modern SDK project. And man, those CS proj files used to be quite a nightmare. Let's see, when ffmpeg service succeeds at extracting audio, it should return stream. Sorry guys, I'm falling behind here on the chat a little bit. I play with D every day. Jesus Christ, Arkin. I don't know what's going on over there with you today. I built a C# program for Mac OS before. Very cool. Well, I didn't build it. I basically solved a scaling issue. It was SQL, not C# issue. Okay, interesting. Rickle me? KKKKK. Are you having a headache with this, bro? No, I'm not having a headache with this. I kind of sometimes it's difficult for me to balance like trying to write code and also talking to chat. So sometimes I feel like I struggle a little bit with my attention span. Penguin, easier if you lopped it. What do you mean, penguin? Nice username, by the way. Penguin Walrus. Zip said, bro, delete this shitty code and start Python programming. Dude, I feel the exact opposite. How about delete all your Python code? Synther, show the domain code. SQL Server is great. Tons of companies rely on it for performance. Blah, blah, blah. Great features too. Sorry, trying to catch up. I coded ChatGPT clone in Bash. That, Zip, I would love to see that. Zip, if you wouldn't mind joining our Discord and posting that in the projects channel, I would love to see that. So, at Zip, join Discord and post your ChatGPT clone in Bash. I would love to see that. C# is like Java. I've never written any Java. I've read some Java, and so I will agree that Java and C# look a lot alike. I've just never actually written anything in C#. My dad wants to learn Python or Go. Any advice for him? Jump in, man. I think the most important thing is you got to get started if you want to learn something. Can you teach me basics? I just don't have the bandwidth to be a teacher, man, at the moment. I think if you want to learn how to code, you should go to free code camp. So I'll put the link in the chat there. Of course, many company has SQL Server, but to the point, the syntax is outdated, and there's so many enhanced features like autofill out there. Interesting. You guys are in a serious SQL discussion here. I'm talking about D, don't you know? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is, Arkin. I like Dart programming language. I've never used Dart. I can tell you never used Java because you don't hate your life. Chong Quang said hi. Hello, Chong Quang. I probably butchered your name and I apologize. Andy's SQL sucks. there's a lot of XYZ tool sucks tonight. P Liskin, what are we deving tonight? We are working on a little creator tool for myself that's basically going to help me take live streams and chunk them down into shorts. So this is basically the process that it's going to go through. And at the moment, we're working on writing some tests. We're basically we have a working solution, and I'm basically refactoring that into like a proper project and adding tests around it. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Nothing crazy exciting. It's not really. I'm not really. What do I want to say? I'm not really inventing anything new, so much as just kind of putting together some existing pieces of technology to solve a problem that I have. This is kind of one of those like playing with Legos type of scenarios. Just copy all this. Which I guess is a lot of programming these days, right? Like a lot of programming is like taking things that exist off the shelf that other people have already implemented and just combining them in a specific way to solve whatever business problem you have. All right, and then we just need to say var, what do we want to say, var, or actually we should say result dot should be of type string. Actually, it should, in this case, it should actually be, no, that's fine. We can just assert there. Oh, that time it really did fail. Now, why did it fail? I can't even read that, this too. What is that error message? Error or run failed. Why is it not printing? What the heck? It's printing to a log file? Oh, I wonder if this is because I'm using the new, let's see, always. You know what? I'll bet that is why. I bet that is why I'm having issues with the test runner, because I am using. So I don't know if anybody actually knows about this, because it does. There's not a lot of people talking about it, but there is a new Microsoft testing platform. So it used to be most people used VS Test, Microsoft testing platform. And they're basically replacing VS Test with this new testing platform. And in this project I set up, I'm using that newer platform, and I'll guarantee that NeoTest does not support it. So let's swap over to VS Code. And we're gonna have to make, I know this is way too small for you guys, so let me do just some window arrangements here. Make this a little bigger. Yeah, I'll guarantee that's what it is. Let's see, expected stream, but found memory stream. That's fine. So we could say B should be assignable to, and the result should be of type memory stream. There we go. There we go. That passes. Okay, yeah, so we're going to have to stick with VS Code for the moment, because I don't think, or at least I'm going to have to do some research on, let's see, neotest.net. Let's see if there's any issues on this. Testing platform. Yeah, no one's logged anything on it, but I'll guarantee that's what the issue is, because I'm using XUnit version 3, which is a big step change, and then I'm also using the new testing platform, which I'm guessing just doesn't play nice yet. We're still discussing SQL in the chat here. Hold on, let me catch up. We have JavaScript in here. Steven, let's see. What's the build pipeline? GitHub workflow? Yeah, it will be a GitHub workflow. It's not, I don't have a build pipeline for it yet, but that's what it will end up being. We'll have a GitHub workflow that builds and publishes the app. It'll just be published as a single file executable. Synthers, what's the performance of that function when it's being called hundreds of thousands of times a second? I honestly couldn't answer that question, Synthers. I guess we'd have to benchmark it. We'd have to use something like .NET benchmark.net, sorry. But I'm not really Synthers, at this point I'm not really worried about that, because at this point this app really is going to be used by a single human being on planet Earth, and that is me. DM, holy crap, you are a hacker? No, I am not a hacker. I do not have those skills. / can you make it bigger for an old uncle like me? Yeah, let me know if it needs to be bigger than what it already is. Multi-master. Oh, we're talking about something there. That doesn't look like the C# I usually write. Yeah, I mean, if most of the C# you write is for game development, yeah, Unity C# looks very different, I feel like, than like traditional application code C#. Is this Neopets? It is not Neopets. Excuse me. We should also add an assertion to all these tests that say well, what do I want to do? I basically want a test that just makes sure that the stream that we passed in, let's see, if we go to the actual audio extractor, I basically just want to test to make sure that I actually do reset this position, because I think that's important. So we should add a test for that. Margot, dudes out here printing money? No, we're not printing any money. I wish. Synthurus, that wasn't about your code. Oh, sorry, Synthurus. I guess you're talking about the sequel. The sequel discussion is what you're referring to. I thought you were asking me what my code does when it's called hundreds of thousands of times, which I thought, well, it's a valid question, but yeah, I don't know. Artwork Studios, everyone here, can we give stream a like, because there's a lot of guys here and I think Steven would be very happy. Oh yeah, man, nobody has to like the stream, but that's very kind of you to make the suggestion. Hey, what's up, Boston Sports Cards? It's been a long while since I've seen you here. I hope you're doing well, man. Penguin Wallace liked for sure. I appreciate that, Penguin Wallace. Very kind of you. Soundwave, which coding language are you using? This is C#, is what this is. Okay, let's add a specific test for this. Let's say public async task. We'll just copy this because almost all the code is identical. So let's do that. Let's say when called, it should what do I want to say? It should not mutate position of stream. Whoops. It should not mutate position of task string. And then let's not do a mock here. Let's actually do an actual memory stream. We'll actually just create a stream. Let's see, in C#. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say var, let's just get some text here. We'll say hello world. We will get the bytes. Text, then we will use that in our stream. And then what we're going to do is, yeah, we can mock the service. It will return true, so it'll succeed. That's fine. And then we basically want to read a little bit from that stream. All right, and then we'll say, let's see, var position to read equals 5. Then we'll say var buffer equals new byte array of that size. And we'll say memory, or we'll say stream dot read async, and we'll pass in our buffer 0. We just need to await this. Calls to methods which accept cancellation token should allow test. That's fine. Why? I've never seen this error before. This must be a new XUnit thing. Let's see. A violation of this rule occurs when a method accepts a cancellation token and does not pass a cancellation token. To provide for orderly cancellation, the developer should pass or a linked token source. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Just never seen that before. So we'll say test context dot current dot cancellation token. Makes my stuff a little long, makes that line a little long, but that's fine. And now we basically have read so then when the stream comes back to us, or I guess I should say after we call this method, the important thing here is that stream dot position should be position read to. I don't need to hold on to that result. Let's see if this works the way I think it should work. Yep. Okay, cool. That's exactly what I want. I'm surprised. You know what? This method, it's funny that I said I've never seen that cancellation token error message before, because this method really should, because it's asynchronous, it really should accept a cancellation token. And this one should too, because we probably should forward that all the way down to we should probably forward that all the way down to ffmpeg. Does this not take a cancellation token? Huh. That's weird that that method doesn't take a cancellation token. In any event, I think that covers all our test cases for that method. Sorry guys, I haven't been paying much attention to chat. I treat code like paint. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. I love that. I actually was I was laying in bed last night or the night before, and I was scrolling through TikTok, and there was a bunch of clips that came up of what's that artist's name? The guy with the happy trees. Last name's Ross, right? Bob Ross. Ross painter. Yeah, Bob Ross. And I was watching those clips, and I thought, I kind of like I would kind of like to be the Bob Ross of coding, just and I love that sentiment. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. As long as those accidents, those happy accidents, don't take down production and affect millions of users. Dismal does not like my test naming convention. I think he finds my method names too long. Which I'm curious, like if the method, if you're worried about the length of a test method, what do you name? How long are your test methods? Are your test methods literally just named test one? Right? Like it's a test method. This is what's gonna show up on the console in like a CI/CD pipeline. So wouldn't you want to know what test case actually failed and what that test case was actually trying to verify? Soundwave. I'm still learning basic JavaScript. Oh yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with JavaScript. Is Code Academy a good site to learn on? I've actually not used Code Academy. I would point you to Free Code Camp myself. / I'm not an employed consultant. I have a consulting business. Oh, that's very cool. So / you're a small business owner. I love that. Anthony, how long have you worked on this app? Maybe, I don't know, in total hours, maybe 10, probably fewer. I've worked on it on stream like 2 or 3 times for probably 5 hours, and then I hacked on it like 5 hours off stream. So, and granted, when I say I worked on it for 5 hours on stream, that was probably like 10 lines of code written, right? Soundwave, you're already the Bob Ross of coding. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to strive for, right? Memento. Hello, hello, Memento. Nice, or not Memento, Minto. An animator, cat lover. Nice. That's a very clear username. Syntheris. I've considered starting a consulting company, but only if it is really profitable. Yeah, I think the thing with consulting is, and maybe Equal Slash can speak to this. I think the thing with consulting is it probably just, in my opinion, would always feel like a hustle, right? Because like not only are you always having to worry about satisfying the current client and the current project, but then you're also having to worry about getting the next one, right? That would, to me, that would be the stressful thing of having a consulting business. Artwork studios. I don't test my code, only ship to production. Well, that's one approach. My goal is to program a good game. Very cool. I think that's a great goal, man. Game development's has never really been my thing, but I think that's a great goal. My test methods are always stuff like dbg, do this, and then have what it returns and notes and IntelliSense comments about the func. Interesting. So you actually apply like XML comments to your test methods. Interesting. Yeah, my standard practice is I usually follow my test method names are usually method name underscore conditions underscore assertion or expected behavior or outcome, something like that. That's typically how I name my tests. You don't work for me and I don't work for you, so we can each do it our own way and live in peace together. Soundwave, thank you. I will try Code Camp. Yeah, it's called Free Code Camp. I'll actually put the link in the chat here. Learn to code, and Nightbot should send a link to their website. It's just freecodecamp.org. Luca Casey, what are you making? Luca, I am making a simple little console application that basically will take my live stream and turn it into potential shorts that I can post on my YouTube channel. That's what I'm working on. If you are good at what you do, then people will always want to hire you. I agree with that. I do think, though, there is some aspect of like you need to be good at what you do, but you also need to make sure people know about you and what you do, right? Like I don't think the whole build it and they will come thing typically works out too well. At least that was my experience when I had a business, when I was a personal trainer. Like I thought I was a great personal trainer. Granted, maybe I wasn't, but excuse me. Like you still had to do the job of like marketing your services. Syntheris, have you ever done behavior-driven development for testing? Look up Jest, BDD, and JavaScript. I haven't found a good equivalent in C#. So I do know what behavior-driven development is. I personally am not a huge fan of so at work, my day job is a quality engineer for a software company. So I'm very familiar with bug reproduction, describing behavior, and typically I use Gherkin a lot. Like Gherkin, if you're not familiar, Gherkin is just a way to describe the behavior and application using a particular syntax that uses keywords like when, given, and, or, right? And so I'm a big believer in describing behavior using Gherkin. However, I'm not a super big fan of trying to bring Gherkin into my code. And there are tools that do this. Like the .NET one that was real popular for a while was called SpecFlow. So you could essentially write kind of Gherkin-like acceptance criteria, and then you could actually connect your steps, right, or your descriptions to actual code, and then you can reuse those steps across multiple like descriptions of behavior, multiple Gherkin statements. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's super helpful when you're talking about describing requirements, acceptance criteria, test cases. I'm not a big fan of then having that also linked and tied to my unit tests myself. But again, I'm just one guy in Kansas. That's, if other people have had better experience with it. Actually, Stephen, what's your opinion on learning multiple different coding languages? For me, it's cool, but I sometimes get confused and use print F and C sharp. I think learning multiple coding languages is great. Like, I think in some cases, like in the case of being a web developer, you're going to be forced to learn it, right? Like, if you want to be a web developer, you're going to have to know some language that you can use on a server and use on the client, right? And in some cases, JavaScript will suit both needs. But you're definitely, like, if you're going to be a web developer, you have to learn JavaScript, you have to learn CSS, you have to learn HTML. And then if you work somewhere where the backend or the server side language is not JavaScript, then you're probably going to have to learn a fourth language just out of necessity. I don't think necessarily you want to try to learn all four at the same time, right? You should probably like sequence this and order it. But I do think it's beneficial to learn more than one language. And I also think it's totally normal to have that experience, because that's my experience. Like whenever I sit down to write Python, whenever I'm writing Python code, I use way too many semicolons, way too many curly brackets, way too many open and closed parentheses and if statements. So anytime you have context switching like that, right, it's gonna take you a minute to get back into whatever habits are required for whatever language you're writing in. Excuse me. Soundwave. I know someone who is currently programming and learning programming. I'm going to tell them about your channel so they can learn too. Well, that would be very kind of you. I'm not sure how much I help others learn how to program and code, but my, I guess, goal with my channel is more of to share what I'm learning and my experiences and the things I'm working on. And if those are beneficial to other people, then awesome. Syntheris. Gherkin has polluted this idea to a degree. I understand what Gherkin frameworks were going for, but it makes BDD so hard to work with compared to JS. I guess Syntheris, I'd be interested to hear how you define BDD in JavaScript. Because my experience with BDD is like Gherkin and BDD really go hand in hand, right? Like in my experience. So it seems like most frameworks out there that try to implement BDD typically have some component that factors in some ability to write Gherkin test cases, I guess I should say. Ace MMA. Hi, Steven. Have you ever worked with Fast API? I have not worked with Fast API. I've heard of it. I've never worked with it. CY, good practice to use var for readability. It depends. Some people in the C# world really do prefer explicit typing like this. Like you can do either string or var. This is configurable. Like you can configure this as part of your editor config or your Visual Studio settings to force you into one or the other. I personally prefer var. I prefer the implicit typing myself. So it's just a stylistic thing, in my opinion. I don't think it hurts readability, in my opinion, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that disagrees with that. Penguin Wallace Gherkin sounds like it's doing too much. Never used it. I don't think it's doing too much. I think it's a very useful. Like I think it's a very useful thing. However, I haven't found it useful in terms of like applying it to my actual unit tests or like code base. I more of use it at like a business or requirements level to help describe and define behavior or bug reproduction steps. Hold on, I missed some. I missed something. HTML is not a programming language. Fair enough. Yeah, I just more meant like, I don't know what you call it then, because it's literally in the name, right? Hypertext markup language. So maybe it's not a programming language, but you are going to have to learn more than one language, I guess, in order to be a web developer. Someday I want to learn and be proficient in every programming language. Then I could help everyone with anything. Yeah. I am super self-aware, so I know the limits of my abilities, and I would also love to be able to help everyone with everything, but I'm the first one to admit when I don't know something. I'm much more a learn-it-all and not a know-it-all. Like I have no desire to try to be the smartest guy in the room or know everything. Like I'm much more just more concerned with continually learning and growing my skills and my knowledge, not necessarily trying to position myself as an expert on everything. Syntheris, it is doing too much. The libraries tie parts of a sentence to flattened test files, so you have to read a separate file from your test code to understand what the test is trying to do. Laugh my ass off. Yeah, agreed. 100%. 100% agree with that. Eduardo, like and subscribe. Oh, that's very kind, Eduardo. Thank you for encouraging others to like and subscribe. Ace MMA. I have hacked NASA using CSS. Elon Musk keeps on calling me for the position of CEO. Okay, you're the same guy that said HTML is not a programming language, so I can see maybe you're here to troll me a little bit here, Ace. Learn new concepts because being in chat lets all of us nerd out in this niche. Yeah, agreed. Is Unity a cross-platform framework for apps and stuff too, but in C#? All I know about Unity is it's a framework for building games in C#. I'm assuming it's cross-platform, but I honestly don't know because I've never actually used it myself. So I could be 100% wrong. Oh, Artwork Studios already answered that. It's cross-platform. There you go. Dismal. I hate how the majority of my projects are just completely unfinished because I'll have an idea and then I'll get another one and not finish either. Yeah, that's something that I try to be really disciplined about. I try to finish everything I start. Or I don't know if software, I don't know. It's difficult with software, right? Because when is something finished? But any project I start, I try to at least push it to like a minimal viable product, right? Or the minimal viable thing, right? That does the thing I wanted it to do. But I try not to do that. I try not to start stuff and not finish it. So behavior-driven development in JS can be done with describe blocks, where you describe context around a test and can pull up shared context into these describe blocks, allowing you to refactor tests. I'm not... So Syntheris, I'm not sure that to me is BDD. Or I guess, I don't know, I don't understand how that's... Because you're using a describe block, that's behavior-driven development. Like, most test frameworks have that ability. Like, I mean, in C#, that's what we're doing with this class. Like, the audio extractor tests these are tests that describe the audio extractor class by convention. And then the way XUnit works, which is the framework that I'm using, XUnit has the ability to do like global setup and also different hooks. Like in the JS world, this is like before each, before all, after all type of thing. So I'm not sure I agree that like behavior-driven development is just using describe blocks. I feel like what you described is what most test frameworks allow you to do. Frank Sinatra, what are you writing? This is a small console application to help me create short videos from live streams. Syntheris, describe, situation, test. Yeah, I guess Syntheris, that's what, I don't know, that doesn't seem any different than having a method in C# like this, right? Or in JavaScript, like, I mean, I've written a lot of JavaScript test cases too. I can find those. Let's see, GitHub. Let's go to my repositories. Let's just go, I don't know, let's go into this one. Right, like, I mean, this is a, I don't necessarily like think like this is BDD just because I'm using a describe block here, but you know, live and let live. Why can't we do DSA and HTML? I'm sure some crazy person out there has probably done that before. Tommy Salami, how do you feel about Pirate Software's code? Well, I've seen people make videos about Pirate Software's code. The problem is I've never written that type of code, nor do I write that language, so it's difficult for me to opine on it, right? Burger Party, what software are you making, bro? This is a tool to help me build or help me create short videos from my streams. Man, I'm missing so many chats. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just falling so far behind. Steven, have you ever considered inviting someone to your streams? I've never done that. Never thought of doing that. Eight said, what is that insane 50,000 letter variable name? It's not a variable, it's a method name. And this is a test. If you're not familiar with C# and you're not familiar with what test method names look like in C#, then this is probably offensive to you. Alright, I'm sorry guys, I'm just gonna try to catch up with chat because I've fallen way behind. How does 5 years of experience look like? I'm not sure what you mean, Joaquin. Would it be better to be a solo game developer or work for somebody? I think it depends on what you want to do with your life. It's your boy Shrek. Are you employed or self-employed software developer? I work a day job. So if you type exclamation point LinkedIn, you can creep all over my professional work experience if you'd like. Penguin Pirate software rant incoming. Syntheris, I struggle with the YouTube chat interface to make my point. No, it's fine, man. I get what you're saying. Like trying to make your tests be very explicit about the behavior you expect under certain conditions. I guess my point is that's what my tests are already doing, and so I'm not sure. But I feel like that's what I've done whenever I write unit tests anytime, I guess. Like why would you write describe blocks that say test one, right? Or why would you write method names that's like test one? So I mean I get your point. I guess I just see it a little. I don't see it as significant of a thing to use jest and describe blocks. Dune X1, what's it like using Windows for development? It's been great. I mean, it's the only thing I've really ever used. I mean, I use Linux. I deploy stuff on Linux a lot. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any issues developing on a Windows machine personally. Where C# framework falls on their face is nesting these describe blocks, which is what limits C# test frameworks in their implementation of BDD. That's readable. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think I agree with that. I don't think being able to nest describe blocks is what defines a good implementation of BDD, but we'll have to agree to disagree there. Yeah, Syntheris, that might be a better way to get the point across, right? Like maybe send me or you could join our Discord maybe and like write up a gist and push that into our Discord so that we could all take a look at it. That might help. Dismal for me. Pushing it to prod is just free public testing. Yeah, I mean that's one. You always have the option to use your users as a bunch of testers. That's always an option. Funny and insightful. How did you move from food quality to site reliability? So I guess I really moved from research and development. Wow, why does my face look so red on camera? Hold on. See if I can fix that. I kind of look like let me see if I can fix this. Huh? No, maybe maybe I'm less red than. This is with color correction on, or no, that's with it off. That's with it's on. It's just the light, I guess. Well, I'm gonna have to live with it. Okay, so back to the career thing. I've talked about this a couple times on stream before, but basically, I was a research and development food scientist, and then I got a job as a support person at a tech company. And so since I've been at my current company, I've basically just kind of like upskilled myself. So like it started with being able to write complex formulas in the software that I was supporting. And those formulas were basically JavaScript. Then I just spent a whole heck of a lot of time learning how to write code and build things. And then when I had opportunities at work to do more technical projects, I basically volunteered myself and kind of proved that I had obtained the skills necessary to do the work this kind of work, like quality engineering type of work. And yeah, over time, just kind of proved myself again and again and again and again, right? And then all the while, just constantly learning. So I guess the answer is how I did that is always be learning, and then always be willing to like demonstrate those skills that you've acquired. OMG, I should set up Discord on mobile, but I keep forgetting. Yeah, no worries, man. I think Discord on desktop's pretty good experience. It's 4 a.m. and my pointers are not pointing. Yeah, this could be a problem. All right, so okay, I feel like where we are is like this test class is complete. This method is complete. I think the one thing I am kind of thinking about coming back to is I don't actually think I want it to be required that someone passes this in. So I think I'm actually going to make this FFmpeg service I think I'm going to make this an internal class just for testing purposes, but I'm going to add that as a to-do at the moment. Revisit making FFmpeg service a public dependency. All right. So we've successfully extracted this code. Now what do we need to do? We need to convert the MP3 stream to a 16 kilohertz wave format. Oh, I think that one of the things I overlooked in my audio extractor one of the things I overlooked is I need to make sure that I need to make sure that when I hand the stream back to the caller, that its position is already set to 0. So I probably need to add a test for that. This is the next piece of code though that I need to pull into a testable, another reusable thing. So we have audio extractor, and this is, let's call this what are we doing here? We're converting the MP3 stream, so let's call this an audio converter. Someone out there is dying inside because of all the object-oriented audio converter. Audio converter. Right now it doesn't do anything, but we will define a method there. This is going to kind of be a similar situation to the extractor because we're just doing one thing with it. And what are we doing with it? We're converting an MP3 file to a specific wave format with a particular sample rate. So what do we want to call the method? I guess we could just call the method convert. Let's see. Task. What do we want to hand back? We want to hand back another stream. say convert. Actually, does this need to be asynchronous? No, this does not need to be asynchronous. None of this is asynchronous code. So this can just be a stream, not a task. And we can say convert MP3 to wave 16. And we will take in another stream that is the MP3. Like that. And then we'll add a corresponding test class for this. Let's see. Audio converter test. Namespace is stream shorts, .library, .tests, .units. That is quite the namespace that I've created for myself there. Don't judge me. Just happy accidents, you know? Happy accidents. All right, let's go back up here, and I missed some chats. Wait, what? Since when could you just do the namespace at the top instead of nesting it? That's called file scope namespaces. I think that came in C# 8, and we're on C# 14. I think this is the next release. So let's see, file scoped namespaces. I think this was in C# 8. Honestly, don't know. File scoped namespaces C# version. Yeah, C# 10. So this would have been almost 4 years ago? Almost 5 years ago, I guess now. So yeah, it's been around for a while. Saves you a level of indentation, which is nice. Actually, Steven, can we get a POV of how your desk looks like while streaming in your community tab? Curious. Oh yeah, of course. I can take a picture of it. Let's see. So I could probably use the wide lens here. The lighting's not great, but the lighting's not great, but I'll put that. You want me to put that in Discord or the community tab? Ask them if they want to get beers after the interview. That's going to be a guarantee hire. M7L, damn programming. I know. Tristan says, I thought about learning C#, but I'm curious, how does it integrate with NeoVim? Are you ever forced to use VS Code? Not typically. Tonight I was forced to use VS Code. So I'm using a new test platform from Microsoft that's different than VS Test, which doesn't seem to play nice with my current NeoVim setup. But for the most part, Tristan, you can write C# code and build .NET solutions using NeoVim and the .NET CLI, and you'll be fine. So if you're interested in it, you can definitely do it. M7L, what are you working on, Uck? I'm working on a application that is going to help me just save me some time during the week creating shorts from my live streams is what I'm doing. Carlos, bro, do you think it is possible to start this when I'm 32 years old? By start this, do you mean start programming, start creating content? I'm not really sure, Carlos. If you're asking if you could start learning to code when you're 32, for sure. I mean, I started when I was 27, 26, right? So you can definitely, yeah, 27 I think is when I started. So you can and there's people that have started much later than that. So you can definitely learn it. Syntheris, write your tests, old man. Well, I am a 32-year-old dad of 2. Oh, Syntheris is talking to equal slash. Sorry, I thought you were talking to me. You're calling equal slash an old man. I started code at 10 to 11, now 13. Yeah, exactly. See, it's just like whatever your age is, you can jump into this. The community tab, please. I can't log into Discord. Oh, yeah, for sure. One sec. I don't know if I've ever made a post to the community tab. Let's see. Oh, maybe you just mean in the posts. Here, like I'm gonna put it in the post tab, or I guess what shows up for me as the post tab. I guess I should probably also make sure there's nothing there's nothing sensitive in this screenshot that I'm getting ready to share. Hold on, let me do a double let me do a double check here on the screenshot I took. Let's see. This is OBS. My code, Discord. Yeah, there shouldn't be anything. Just wait. Famous last words. I'm about to get hacked. Let's see. I'm gonna tag you in the post since you asked for it. Here's what my desk looks like when I stream. There you go, man. Hope that helps. Penguin Walsh. I'm not as wise as Streamer or Syntheris, but this tech market ain't about having the tech skills. It's all about being a teammate people want to work with. I think what Penguin Wallace said there is super wise. Like that is regardless of if you're in tech or not. That's like at the end of the day, human beings want to work with people they like. It's super important, right? So I would say if you can be a likable individual, you will set yourself heads and tails apart from other people, right? So like be a likable, nice person that other people want to work with and bring a great set of skills for whatever the particular job is that you want to do. Big win. Carlos, programming app. Carlos, you can 100% start learning to program at 32. Or you could wait and do it at 40, right? So you've got this. It's your boy Shrek. I'm a software engineering student, and I'm pretty fearful of the current software job market. What is your opinion on the current job market? It's your boy Shrek. Are you also a great username? Are you concerned because of AI? Or are you concerned just because of all the layoffs and the fact that people aren't interested in hiring juniors? Is that kind of what you're concerned about? Be the legend. Is vibe coding work in large and complex code bases? I honestly don't know because I don't know that I would actually qualify anything that I work on as a large and complex code base. However, and I should also say I'm not much of a vibe coder, but what I would tell you, be the legend, is when I look around, almost all the vibe coding content I see is not people vibe coding in large, complex 10-year-old code bases. So yeah, to me it seems like vibe coding breaks down the larger projects get and the more difficult it becomes to give the LLM all the context it needs. So as the project grows, that becomes more and more difficult just by the sheer nature of LLMs. So I think the results are going to vary. The job market is rocky right now for everyone. Find a job and stick to it for a few years. I would agree with that sentiment. Our work studios, that's nice, quite clean. I try to keep it clean. It gets messy sometimes during the week, but for the most part, it's fairly clean. Meet Habib. I cannot understand a single word in your screen. That's okay. You don't need to. Dismal. I love that exception. Yeah, don't you? And it's just built in. That's just a built-in exception in C sharp. You know. It's funny because there are actually some poorly defined interfaces in C sharp where, depending on like library, there's been some libraries that I've worked with where you're implementing a particular interface, and like the interface will have two methods. It'll have something like public task, or have something like public bool take action, like this, that you have to implement, and then that interface will also require you to implement an asynchronous version of it. So like take action async, and it's funny because a lot of times you don't need to implement both in certain cases. So for the one that you don't want to implement, you just say throw new not implemented, whoops, not finite, not implemented exception, and then you move on with your life. So yeah, it's a great exception, you know. It's very clear. It's your boy Shrek. Yes, and oversaturation. I guess I guess what I would say, I want to say, like, as somebody that has a job currently, it's very easy for me to like try to assuage your concern. So I think your concern is valid, right? I just want to let you know that like whatever anxiety or concerns you have, that's completely valid. I guess what I would try to reassure you is, if that's the career you want and that's the field you want to work in, I wouldn't let your concerns scare you away from that, right? I think obviously be realistic, but don't give up on it, right? If it does mean that maybe it does mean that you might have to be willing to take a job that maybe isn't the ideal job that you want, but maybe it's the job that gets you in the door, right? And then maybe from the job that gets you into the door, you get to your dream job. So I think maybe the best advice would be, don't give up on the thing you're passionate about and the thing that you want to do, but maybe also bring with you a little bit of reality and say, well, you know, I'll apply to my dream jobs, but I'll also apply to some jobs that aren't maybe exactly what I want, but maybe will help me kind of get to the one I want. I don't know how helpful that advice is, but that might be what I would tell you. Never mind, the screen is super clear now. So maybe just a stream quality issue. Jake, what's crazy is you actually can, just needs to be broken down into smaller LLM prompts. Nah. Well, I guess yeah, but at some point, you know, when if you're working on a code base that's 10 years old and is, you know, let's say it's a .NET solution, let's say it has 100 projects in it, it's over 1 million lines of code. I think at some point you're going to run up against the constraint, the like the raw constraints of what these LLMs can do. So I still think at some point the vibe coding breaks down as the complexity grows. Like I would think there's probably like an inverse relationship there. As the number of lines in the code base grows, as the complexity of the code base grows, the helpfulness of the LLM drops somewhat. Or maybe not the helpfulness of the LLM, but the feasibility of vibe coding drops. I've been really bad at keeping up with the stream tonight, or keeping up with the chat. Vibe coding works, but there's a lot of pain when the app doesn't work. Debugging, since you didn't spend time thinking about it. And that's actually one of my kind of issues with vibe coding is I find whenever I vibe coded something and then it doesn't work, I'm now left with the chore of reading the code the LLM wrote and trying to understand what it was trying to accomplish with the code it wrote so I can figure out why it's not working. And at that point, what I'm thinking is, why didn't I just write the code myself? Artwork Studios. Actually, Steven, you could make a project that checks a picture, tries to find anything sensitive in the picture, like IP address, home address, phone number, etc. That'd be a pretty cool project. Could be super helpful for people. Dirty Fan 2. AI will replace software engineers, and it already shows. Okay, Dirty Fan 2. I'm guessing. I'm guessing you are a professional software engineer with 20 years of experience. I will trust every opinion you have on this matter. True, Dirty Fan. Only one more year. I don't know. I don't believe that. I do not believe. I don't believe that. C# or Java, which is better for large projects? I think those languages are kind of equivalent. I don't know Java though myself. Like I couldn't write Java. I've read some Java, so I don't know, but it seems like those languages show up in equivalent types of settings, right? Like kind of enterprise backends or line of business applications. Both of those languages seem to show up in those places. Dismal. Java is a lot more platform agnostic. C# is commonly on Windows. I would think Dismal. I will say historically, I think that's true. I think that's less of a thing now because C# and .NET is cross-platform. I think that's becoming less of a thing. I think Microsoft has placed way less focus on Windows and way more focused on just Azure being a cloud provider. Will run whatever you want to run. Windows is everything. Windows is everything. You are in the right place. Penguin Wallace. I'm very curious what you guys use AI for now. Yeah, that's actually a conversation I ask people quite a bit, or a question I ask people quite a bit is like, what's your everyday use of AI, right? Because everybody says like AI is like eating the world and it's taking over, but I'll tell you guys, my mom is not talking to me about how AI is changing her life. So until that really happens, I'm not sure generative AI is having the kind of revolutionary impact on the world that everybody claims it's having. It's definitely having an impact in our world from like a tech development space, but but I think in the grand scheme of things that's the very narrow small bubble. People who predict programmers are going away because of AI seem to be the people not using AI. Yeah, I I agree, and I think you can tend to always tell somebody who hasn't used a lot of generative AI tools because I feel like people you talk to who have actually used generative AI quite a bit are typically pretty measured about how they talk about it, right? They say like it can be very useful, um, but at the same time it has its limitations, right? I feel like everybody that has used it a lot sort of comes to that measured stance where it's like, wow, there could be so much potential here, but also we have so far to go. Meet. What should I do as a beginner? Not exactly a beginner. I'm not confident as an intermediate either. Fair enough, man. I never know how to describe myself either. Am I an intermediate? Am I advanced? I totally get it. All I did so far is chess, tic tac toe, a greeter, a counter, and that's it. that's probably, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's probably 5 projects that most people have ever built in their life. So you should give yourself a pat on the back. As far as what you should do, I think that's highly contextual. I mean, it's like, what now that you kind of have like your feet underneath you, what's the thing you want to do, right? Are you trying to get a job? Are you trying to just build a micro SaaS for your own, like to start your own business? What's the thing you want to do now? And I think that context defines what you should do. It's kind of like that Alice in Wonderland quote where Alice asks the Cheshire cat, which way she should go, and the Cheshire cat is like, he responds something with like something to the effect of like, well, where are you trying to go? And Alice then says, I don't know, or something to that effect. And then the Cheshire cat says, well, then it doesn't really matter. The point there being that the direction you want to go determines what is the next step, right? Like your goals give context to what actions you should take. Syntheris, I'm afraid of the impact on new programmers, though. It's super valid, man. Super valid concern. Tony, I used AI to write some code, but all it did was piss me off. That might be one of the funnier messages I've gotten in chat in a while. / oh my gosh, ChatGPT wrote me a program. I'm not sure what it does, but programmers are doomed. Yeah, that's like 90% of Twitter nowadays are posts like that. Oh my gosh, ChatGPT told me how to center a div. This is great, and I'm really enjoying the chat this evening. Tony, AI sounds so confident too. It's like we got it this time, then screws up something else. Yeah, I would love for someone to. It would be really funny to have someone build an LLM, and position it as like the argumentative coworker LLM. the LLM that always plays devil advocate, always picks apart all the tiniest little logical and fallacies in anything you say. / what is your keyboard? The keyboard I'm using right now is, well, let me pull it up on Amazon. That's probably easier to see. Let me see if I can. I have several. I've kind of joined the mechanical keyboard club over the last year or so. This is the one I'm currently typing on. The brand name is Yunzi, and looks like the model is the B75 Pro. And actually it looks like it's still on sale. I picked it up when it was on sale like this. I've been super happy with it. I'll put the link in the chat. Here is the mechanical keyboard I'm using. Also, I have not written any code in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna have to remove the code from this stream description. My keyboard was $300. Holy crap. That's an expensive keyboard. People have been telling me they have split keyboards that are like $700, $1,000 keyboards. That's crazy. Penguin Wallace, no code, just vibe and chill. Yeah, we definitely haven't written any code in a while. So we basically just need to take this code and stick it in this method body. That's basically what I need to do. Let's see. Oh, I don't have that. I don't have the right project, the right NuGet packages referenced in this. So I need to see. I need in audio. Actually, I think that's the only one I need is in audio. And I should probably wrap in audio in a facade class like I did FFmpeg. So we will do that at some point too. Let's see. Do I have to build the project for this to work? No, it's already picked it up. Is resampler an unknown word? Well, it's not an unknown world in this project. Excuse me. Let's see, MP3 is just going to be, that's just going to be MP3. And then we need to return the wave stream. We should probably also make sure we set the position of the wave stream to 0 before we return it. We should also do that in my audio extractor class too. MP3 stream position equals 0. I don't think this has an asynchronous method to it. Yeah, it doesn't. And then what we can do is we can register this with our dependency injection. So we'll come up here and we'll say services.add singleton. What do I want to say here? I audio converter. And then in our command, we can basically say, okay, if we've got the audio extracted successfully, then we will come down here and say, what do we want to say? I guess here we're going to say wave stream equals null. And we're basically going to do a similar thing here. Converting audio. Say I audio converter. This is an I audio converter now. Oops. What? Did I not name this correctly? Converter, audio converter. Oh. And then down here I can say wave stream equals audio converter yeah, like that. Why is this still complaining? Oh, this doesn't need to be async. That. It's fine, we can use the expression body. this doesn't need to be async. There we go. And this doesn't need to be awaited. Now everyone's happy. Which means I can now remove this. And we have another step refactored into our command here. I think my app right now will not compile. I'm just gonna add a test method to this really quick so it'll shut up. There we go. Yeah, so if I try to run this right now, I actually think it'll throw. So .NET run. Because I haven't registered a service. Yeah, unable to resolve IFFmpeg service. The thing is, I don't think I want my console app to know about the IFFmpeg service. So I think what I'm gonna do is, because that service really exists more for testing purposes than anything. It's very unlikely I'll ever actually not use FFmpeg, right? Like what other thing could I replace that with? I'm not really sure. So for my extractor implementation, I think what I want to do is I actually want to have so I think what I want to have is I actually want to have by default this is just going to be an instance of the FFmpeg service by default. Why is this complaining? No, I don't want to do that because I'm going to have a public constructor like this. And then I'm also going to have a constructor that's overloaded. I'm actually just going to make this an internal constructor that takes in an IFFmpeg service. And the whole reason for this is for testing purposes. That's why it exists. So I think now I can actually go here. I can make this internal FFmpeg service. I can make this internal too. And now if I run my project again, it should actually run, I think. There we go. So it's extracting audio and then it should try to convert it. There's someone in my chat named Steven. No, it's C#. It's clear written on VS Code tab. Yes, it is C#. You can look at the VS Code tab. That is a good idea. God, I hate my I hate the color of my camera right now. It's just too dang red. I'm gonna have to do some work on that. Let's see, an error occurred. Cannot access a closed stream. Ooh. I have a bug. So who's closing that stream? And why are they closing it? Why are they just trying to dispose of my stream? Also, have I really been live for an hour and 45 minutes? God dang. Oh, right here. It's because I'm trying to return a stream that I'm disposing of, and I should not be doing that. Now let's try. Yes, this is okay. Disposing of this reader, I can dispose of this sampler. I just need to hold on to the wave streamer because I'm going to return that to the caller. See you, Penguin Walrus. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm new here. What is going on here? I am writing some code to make my life a little bit easier as a content creator. I'm trying to build an app that will help me take live streams and chop them up into shorts. Hello, funny meme. How are you? All right. We're still getting that error. I can't even read this stack trace very well. It's in the constructor. Somebody's throwing this. I wonder if it's one. It's got to be one of these, the sampler or the reader. Let's go. But why is it somebody's? Let me remove the using statements. But then that complains about an error because I'm not getting rid of the disposable. Oh, I wonder, see this bool? I probably need to turn that off. So it's set to false by default, which is what I want. What about this guy? What's he do? Line 10. But then I lose frame decompress builder. Excuse me. Nid Mumbaku. Why don't you use some AI tools to make it easier and faster? Because my aim isn't really to do it easier and faster. My aim is to build it and have fun and enjoy it. I'm not really worried about being the most productive I can be. Joe Blow. Dispose before return? Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. The using statements will dispose of these before I... Oh, maybe not. So you're saying I should explicitly dispose of the sampler myself and the reader myself, Joe? Is that what you're saying? See you, Artwork Studios. Have a good night, man. Alternative, what are you building? This is a console app that is going to take large videos and help me figure out how to not help me figure out, but basically give me potential clips from those videos that I can post as shorts on my YouTube channel. See you, Penguin Wallace. I already said goodbye to you, didn't I? Okay. So what you're saying is Hassam Al-Badri said hi. Hello, Hassam. So let's try, who was it? Let's try Joe Blow's idea here. Let's try to not rely on the using. Hehe, I'm lurking by. You can stay and lurk, man. No worries here. So you're saying let's explicitly dispose of these here. Reader.dispose and resampler.dispose. I'm curious though why. I would think the using statements would be effectively the same thing, but maybe in the order they get called. Nope. Same exact thing. So who is I'm curious to find out who's calling get position. Who's calling get position and what they're calling it on. I might have to debug this, huh? That would be the smart thing to do, is to debug this, huh? This is the first time, too, I've worked with this library in audio, so I'm sure this is something very simple that I'm doing incorrectly with it. And there's somebody out there way smarter than me that already knows what I'm doing wrong, but I'm not sure what it is. Who has a who? Okay, so is it the MP3 file reader? I think it's the MP3 file reader that's throwing. Yes, that is the one that's throwing. Because it's calling. So it calls the base, but it says own input stream false. And then what does that do? So let's go to the base method here. Okay, here we have position. Oh wow, look at this nasty setter. This is code that's too complex for Steven to have ever written. Oh my god, whenever I see like setter code that looks like this, I just think, oh man, this is solving for a bunch of problems that I do not understand. Let's see. How does that, let's see, own input stream, how does this get used? So it's not really get position. We need to go back to the MP file reader. Get position. What are we trying to achieve here? We're trying to build a CLI tool that helps me create shorts from my live streams, but currently we are stuck on a object disposed exception because somewhere in our code we are trying to access a stream that has been closed. Which I know is not probably thrilling content for people, but this is what it looks like when you get stuck on something. You look like your uncle taught you how to kiss fight. Nice one, Nalusa. Nalusa. That's the first like kind of trolly comment that I've had tonight. All right, I think I'm losing my steam. The fun Sunday night stream has now turned into a figure out what I've done wrong stream. Mike, line 6, add the false. Your assumption was correct. You think so? I thought it was. Okay, let's try it. Line 6. Is it line 6? Yeah, this is. Which one had the own input? I think it was this one, didn't it? That had the overload. But it doesn't look like they allow you to overload. See, this looks like it already does it for me. It calls the base constructor, and then it sets own input stream to false. But I don't think I can pass it. I don't think I can pass it in myself. Trenton, my uncle taught me. Use AI. Yeah, maybe AI might be helpful in this case. Yeah. Equal slashed. It's the internet. The internet always does show up at some point. Yeah, I thought Mike was onto something there for a second, but it looks like it. I don't think that's the case. I'm curious though. Let's try to narrow down. I'm pretty sure it's the reader that's throwing, but let me just try to narrow that down, right? So if I don't ever dispose of the reader, right? So if I do the bad thing and I don't ever dispose of it, so we'll just suppress this. My expectation would be that this error goes away because I don't ever actually dispose of it. Also, I should say this is taking a long time because the audio that's being extracted is 2 hours long. Okay, so it's not okay. That's not what it is. So is it the resampler? It's got to be one of these, right? Let me also go back to my command really quick just to make sure I'm not doing anything funny in here. Yeah. Okay, let's try again. I know I could debug this, but I'm trying to avoid doing the debugger in this tiny little VS Code window. Anoush, can we try returning a copy of the wave stream? Might be wrong. We could, but we shouldn't need to return a copy of the wave stream because we're not disposing of the wave stream, right? If we were disposing of the wave stream, that would be an issue. I can tell from the stack trace though, it's something in audio's code. It's something in the library's code that's trying to access. Okay, so it has nothing to do with this code. So if I don't dispose of any of this, it still happens, right? So I'm not disposing of any of these streams. Just real quick, let me make sure this method isn't. Oh, I think it is my fault, isn't it? Because I'm returning MP3 stream, but I'm getting rid of it here, aren't I? I think that was my oopsies. I was blaming it on the library code. It's my code. Okay, let's go. Let's try this again. I think it's me. Yikes. Let's try this again. It's got to be someone else's problem. It cannot. It's not that I did something wrong. SUNY pointers. I feel like pointers is always an acceptable answer when something's not working, right? It's like what's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What is that number? The number 42. The ultimate. There we go. Yep. So now we're converting the audio. And obviously it's just, then after this, it's just going to say nothing. It's just going to exit. Okay, cool. So we've got that step extracted now to a separate class. So let's actually add some markup here. So we'll say if wave stream, whoops. If we get here and wave stream is still null, then we have a problem and we need to return. We should say basically the same thing up here. Let's just have consistencies with our statements. So failed to convert audio. Failed to convert audio to wave format. Is that right? Wave format? Oh, what I was going to say about pointers is I was going to say pointers is like the number 42 in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? 42 is like the universal answer to everything. And so if you're having a problem in your code, you can always just say there's an issue with some pointers. Also, this should probably be capitalized since I think WAVE is an acronym. But I actually don't know. Let's just do WAVE. And then if it's not, then we will say audio converted successfully. Cool. Yes. Okay, so let's go back to our program here. And let's remove... Okay, so this is actually where we get into the interesting bits of code. So this is where we're actually going to transcribe our audio. Now, our it makes me actually wonder if it makes sense to have the audio converter even in a separate class. So the way this is going to work, or the way this does work, is we extract the audio, obviously, but we're using the tool that we're using to do the transcription is a speech recognition model called Whisper that OpenAI built and open sourced. Whisper has a very specific requirement in terms of its input, right? It needs the audio to be in a very specific format so it can do inference on it. And that format is, it needs to be a WAV format. It has to be less than 25 megabytes. And it's, what's the other requirement? Oh, it has to be 16 kilohertz sample rate. So I'm kind of wondering if it doesn't make sense to use the converter. Like, I don't know if it makes sense for my console app to care about the converter, since the converter is a requirement of the transcriber. So I'm thinking I might hide the converter away. This may not need to be exposed publicly to my application. I'm definitely overcomplicating this whole solution. But whenever I try to build something for myself, I'm always trying to get reps at building good software, or what I think is good software, right? So I'm trying to think about things like what should be the publicly accessible API of my library code to my application code, right? And making sure I build the application so that is testable, make sure I write my classes so they are testable. Like this is definitely overkill for the thing I'm trying to do, but I try to use these projects of mine as a way for me to get reps at exercising, right, the skills or the things that I'm trying to learn to do or would want to do in a professional setting. So when I say things like, I don't know if this class should be publicly accessible, it probably doesn't matter in this context, but I'm just trying to work through those, the thought process, right? I'm trying to work through how I might think about this if this was like a production code base for not my small little application. In any event, regardless of what I do with the converter, the next thing I need to do is I need to implement some sort of transcriber class. So let's create a new folder here, new namespace. We'll call this Transcription. and we will create, so we want an interface, because theoretically, we're using Whisper locally, but we could use OpenAI's API too. So we should have a common interface that concrete implementations can be written against, but they can be swapped out interchangeably. So we will have an transcription. I don't know. I guess we could call it iTranscriber, or we could call it iTranscriptionist. But I kind of like iTranscriber, so we'll do that. And this will live in the stream shorts.library.transcription namespace. This would be a public interface, iTranscriber. So again, this is the whole point of having interfaces, right? This is the whole point of having an interface, is so that I can publicly expose some contract. People can depend on that contract, but I can have multiple implementations of that contract and they can be used interchangeably, right? So again, I'm using Whisper locally, but in the future, maybe I want to offer the ability to use OpenAI's API. So I should be able to write another implementation of the iTranscriber. And so I need to come up with a common interface here. So if we go back and look at my program code, what am I doing in my program code here? So I have a stream, which is the wave stream. And then I have some segment duration, but I don't know if that's really important. I think what's important for the iTranscriber interface is it should take a stream, and then it needs to return something. It should return the transcription, right? So the transcriber should transcribe. Right? And it should probably do it asynchronously. So this should be a task. Yeah. So I'm actually thinking, I don't know. Does it make sense to force does it make sense to return the whole transcription, right? And the thing I'm worried about there is that could be a lot of text, right? If you're talking about a 2, 3 hour long, 4 hour long, 8 hour long stream, not that I actually stream that long, but it could be a lot of text. So I'm kind of thinking it doesn't make sense to just return the whole block of text. I'm kind of thinking it makes sense to return I guess one or more like transcription results or something. I don't know. Now now I'm definitely overthinking this, but yeah, I'm thinking it should be something like transcription result or transcription segment, or maybe segment is the best term for it. And I'm thinking it should be like an async enumerable. So something like this, async enumerable of segment. Not a reg segment. We could call it transcription segment if we want. That's fine. And a transcription segment really just needs to be two things. It needs to have a time span that is the start. It needs to have a time span that is the end time. And then it needs to have a string that is the text. Like that. And then this can be transcribe async or something like that. pass in the stream. This is going to be the audio that you want to transcribe. Inconsistency is less accessible. Oh, this needs to be public. That's fine. So I'm thinking that's probably like a good generic. I mean, the async enumerable probably isn't always useful, but I'm thinking in most cases you probably don't want to return one whole large transcription. Helisher 8. If no one has told you yet, you're a wonderful, bright, beautiful individual and hope the rest of your day goes amazingly. That's like the nicest YouTube chat comment. That's very kind of you, man. Right back at you. And also maybe a helper to transcribe the 2x version of it so we save on transcription costs. Yeah, you could, like, that's the point. Whenever we go to, like, whenever you start thinking about, yeah, whenever you go from using free local resources to paid resources, there might be some other considerations there. Nathan, can I see the program.cs? Yeah, for sure. Right now, it's pretty much all so the way this project started, Nathan, was we basically implemented these steps in like a single file, right? Like a single program.cs file, doing these things, which is what all this commented code is, right? Is each of these steps that we try to implement. And now we're sort of refactoring this into a proper .NET CLI application that we can test and publish and all the goodness. Instead of just having basically a script, we'll have like a legit application that we can extend and iterate on and change over time. I swear I'm black. You look beaten down. Are you okay? I think I've just reached my stream limit. I've been streaming for 2.5 hours, which is pretty long for me. I usually don't stream more than like an hour or two. So I think I've just reached my stream limits. My stream stamina has been maxed. I think this is what I'm going to roll with for now. Yeah, I think this was what I'm going to roll with for now. And then we'll have a, let's see, new, we'll say whisper, transcriber.cs. This will be a public class that implements the iTranscriber interface. Whisper, what's that? We want Whisper. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to do tonight. I'm just going to implement the interface with a not implemented exception, and then I'm going to call it for the evening. Let's actually take a look at what all did we do tonight. So let's see, this is just, we added, let's see, chore, whitelist, a word. That scared me. My ice and my glass shifted. Let's see, and then, let's see, chore, update editor, config, preferences for tests. Commit that. Let's see, we updated the default command. We updated program.cs. Audio extractor, converter. feature, let's see, implement, or let's just say like extract audio extraction to separate class and refine audio. Refine audio extraction and extract audio conversion. Separate class. Let's see, chore, delete unused template file. Let's see, and then feature whip on implementing first, or no, whip on extracting whisper I keep wanting to say whisper transcription logic to separate class. All right, bye guys. Oh, I should probably push this up to git push. Alright, already did that in the GUI. I think this is where I'm probably going to leave you guys. Retro Lead. Hello, Retro Read. Stray Demon. Hello, Stray Demon. Hey, been here for what, 15 minutes and learned a ton from you. How do I get to the Discord channel? So the Discord is right here. I'll post a link. There you go. Exclamation point Discord. Nightbot should hook you up with the Discord link there. All are welcomed. I do have like a small application on there, but that's more of just to keep the riffraff out. I don't really reject anybody. It's just I figure if you have to submit an application to the Discord server, I figure the bots will probably and the trolls will not go through that effort. Oh, nice. Very cool. Awesome. Oh, yep. I see. I just approved you. Yes, welcome. I'm glad you're here. All right, y'all. I'm out for the evening. I hope you guys had a good Sunday. If it's already Monday for you, I hope you have a great Monday. And I'll probably be back tomorrow sometime. All right, guys. Bye, Anuj. I think that's how you say your name. Sorry if I butchered it. See you, Retro Lead. See you, Stray Demon. Anybody else who's here? Stray Demon. Do you sometimes use AI? Sometimes. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes. I use Copilot a lot. I use Gemini a lot. So yeah, for sure. I use AI. All right, y'all. You guys have a good night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. See y'all.